Hello everyone, this is Laura. I'm the CEO of VMV Hypoallergenics. We're here to save the world's skin with the safest, most proven effective care on the planet. And we do that basically by allergen omission. We remove allergens from our products and we use as a reference regularly published reports of the top contact allergens from patch tests done in multiple countries, thousands and thousands of patch tests and published by hyper specialized experts in contact dermatitis. So that's what we use as the basis for our top contact allergens to remove from our formulations. Plus, we use a grading system. It's like an SPF in a way, in that it shows you right away a number, a grade, so you can gauge the safety of the product. So for example, it's called the VH rating system, the Validated Hypoallergenic Rating System. It shows you, for example, how many allergens are not in a formulation. So something like this would be VH minus 109 over 109, which means validated hypoallergenic without minus 109 of the top contact allergens over 109. That's the current count. If this product had an allergen in there, it would be VH minus 108 with an asterisk. And then when you went to the ingredients list, you would see the asterisk on the allergen that's included. And we do that because it is extremely unlikely that you would be allergic to all 109 top contact allergens. So if you patch tested positive, for example, to parabens, and if you picked up a product like this that was VH minus 108 and you went to the ingredients and saw that the included allergen was, say, vitamin E, then you know you can still use it. So it's really handy and very helpful. We publish our clinical studies, and it's kind of a big deal to have one clinical study published in a peer-reviewed journal. Thanks to my mother, who is our founding dermatopathologist, we have over 80. I think at this point she has over 200 to her name. So yeah, we take efficacy and safety extremely seriously. Today I'll be giving you the skinny on the odors of products. In a nutshell, if it smells really, really good, it's probably not the best thing for your skin. If it smells like nothing, it doesn't smell perfumey or lovely, but it's also not particularly chemistry lab smelling, it may still be a problem. And if it smells kind of like your high school lab, it might be the best thing for your skin. Before I get into that in detail, it's pretty interesting and I think it sounds a little counterintuitive. Please remember to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss our new content that goes up. Also check out vmvinskin.com, which is our blog. There's so much content on there that's super helpful. And watch our weekly live streams because you can get your questions answered live, which is pretty cool, by a resource expert who's really legit. Also, if you have more questions or any comments whatsoever, we would love to hear from you. So write in the comments your thoughts, anything you'd like to learn more about, we'll totally get back to you. And if you would like to shop our products, most of which contain our first cold-pressed, certified organic, and clinically published organic virgin coconut oil, plus monolaurin, you can do so at vmvhypoallergenics.com internationally or vmvhypoallergenics.ph in the Philippines. Okay, so getting into it. Fragrance is a top contact allergen. It always is. In fact, fragrance is such a common contact allergen that it was named Allergen of the Year by the American Contact Dermatitis Society in 2007. There are so many fragrances that in patch test trays, the most basic standard patch test trays, you will probably find fragrance mix 1 at the very least, if not both fragrance mix 1 and 2, which have multiple fragrances in them because they're really just that common, right? And fragrances being top common allergens has nothing to do with how natural or organic they are. You can have synthetic fragrances that are contact allergens, or you can have totally natural, organic fragrances that are top contact allergens. If you are a lavender farmer and you grow your own lavender and it is certified organic, it doesn't change the fact that it is a top contact allergen. Lavender, a lot of fragrances actually, a lot of them are also top photoallergens. So another big concern is getting dark blotches, hyperpigmentations, and melasma from exposure to fragrance, which can become airborne and cause that problem. In a way, it's a little like, it's not the same thing because skin allergies and food allergies and dander and pollen and all that stuff, they involve two completely different modalities and cells, right? This is antibodies are involved. It's IgE mediated. These are T cell mediated allergies, the skin ones. But just as a sort of a metaphor, if you are allergic to peanuts or to bee stings, it doesn't matter how organic the peanuts or the bees are. If you're allergic to them, you really should not be exposed to them. And the same thing applies with fragrance. No matter how organic or natural it is, you really should not be exposed to them if you have patch tested positive to them. And if your concern is dark spots, melasma, hyperpigmentation, dark spots after acne, that sort of thing. And this applies to essential oils. Essential oils that are natural and organic, yeah, you should probably avoid those as well. The tricky thing about fragrance is there's so many and they're not necessarily listed as such. For example, if you patch tested positive to fragrance mix 1 in your patch test, you won't ever find fragrance mix 1 in that name listed on a product's ingredients list. You will find fragrances that are individually in the fragrance mix 1, but you may not realize it. If a product contains, for example, geraniol, to you, that may not trigger, oh, that was on my patch test result, because it wasn't, because it's part of fragrance mix 1. So there's so many fragrances to look out for. Sometimes it's difficult to avoid them. Also, there are ingredients that don't sound at all like fragrance. If you see parfum or perfume on an ingredients list, that's fairly clear. But if you saw something like benzyl alcohol, that just doesn't look at all fragrancy, and in fact is sometimes present as an ingredient in products that are labeled unscented. So it gets really dicey sometimes to try to avoid these fragrances. The other thing that makes it a little dicey is, if you said to yourself, that's fine, I don't need to know all the ingredients names, I just need to take a whiff. And if I smell a product and it smells gorgeous, it smells like a field of roses or whatever, that's fairly easy. You can be pretty sure, yeah, that's got fragrance in there, right? But if it smells like nothing, if you take a whiff and go, no, it just smells clean, or it just smells neutral, like nothing, there's a really good chance that there are masking fragrances in there. And that's sort of the key here. I think a lot of us have been taught that if it smells too much like a lab, then it's got bad chemicals in there and therefore it must be bad for us. It's too harsh, it's wrong. When in fact the opposite is actually more true. So first, let me segue very quickly into, there is no hard line between natural and chemical, right? Everything in nature has a chemical signature. We have a periodic table of elements. Water is H2O, hydrogen and oxygen. Everything in nature has a chemical signature. When we talk about alcohol, alcohol is not one thing. It's not the clear, drying, disinfecting liquid. It's a categorization based on the molecular structure of the thing. So many alcohols are actually waxy, fatty, and really moisturizing, right? There's harmful chemicals, chemicals that can be toxic, especially when there's too much of it, right? Or just some chemicals are toxic, they're poisonous. That's different. So we can't make a hard line between natural and chemical in that sense, right? But because we often do, when we smell a skincare product that smells like the way it probably inherently does because it was made in a lab somewhere, then we think it might be too harsh or it's got chemicals in it. Everything has chemicals in it, right? But we might think it has harsh chemicals in it or harmful chemicals in it. But again, chances are using a product that smells like that is probably healthier for you than using a product that doesn't. So, specifically with regards to fragrance, if you smell a product, this is our Clark wash, right? It's a wonderful hair and body wash that is allergen free, comedogen free, very, very gentle. And if you take a whiff of it, it's not ugly smelling, but it doesn't smell good. It smells a little bit like my chem lab in high school. The reason for that is we don't use masking fragrances. We don't use any fragrances in our products, masking or perfumes, right? Definitely, if I were to pick up a shampoo that had a lavender scent or something that smelled like this, definitely this would be the safer option, especially if you have patch tested positive for fragrance. If you pick up another shampoo and it smells just not like lavender, not like anything perfumey, but just not like this, not like sort of a chemistry set, chances are it has a masking fragrance. So that is a concern if you have patch tested positive for fragrance. This applies to moisturizers as well. This is one of our best sellers, the Super Skincare Hydra Balance moisturizer for combination skin. And again, if you smell it, put a little here because it's actually, it really hardly smells like anything. So this probably wouldn't raise an eyebrow. But yeah, everything we make, we really just don't use fragrances or masking fragrances in anything. This applies to not using dyes in our skincare. In our makeup, we have dye-free options, and then we use azo dyes in some of our products that are clearly marked by that VH rating system. So if you have patch tested positive to a particular dye, you can see in the ingredients list if it's there. If it's there, then that shade is not for you. You can contact us for sure, and we can make recommendations from our dye-free shades or from our products that don't have that particular ingredient in it. So this is Re-Everything Eye Serum. This is the mini, right? It's actually kind of really banged up. This is mine and it fell. So here, I don't know if you can see that. We'll take another shot of it later, but if you can see that, it's actually quite brown versus our Hydra Balance, oops, moisturizer. Whoop, there you go. So you can really see. There, can you see the difference between the two? One is brown, right? And the other is white. The brown is really just how the lotion comes out with this particular formulation. It's got more green tea in it, for example, and that's how it is. So, you know, people who prefer, say, a clear or a white cream might take a look at that brown color and think something's wrong with it, but that's just how it comes out. And because we refuse to mask the color, we have products that look like that. Same thing with this. If you took a whiff, yeah, you would get certainly some of the green tea, which does not smell like green tea scent, folks. Tea is pretty earthy in its smell, right? And then you might get some of the coconut oil because we don't use coconut oil that is heated. You won't get a yummy cooked coconut oil smell that you get in some desserts. We also don't use a coconut oil scent, so you wouldn't get that at all. So that smells a little bit like a chemistry lab, but it's an excellent formulation, and we refuse to use masking fragrances, and we won't use dyes to hide the funny color of, say, green tea, right? Which actually is quite brown, not green. This is another favorite that I love to talk about. So this is one of our best-selling toners for decades, Super Skin Toners, toner 1, 2, and 3, with monolaurin and mandelic acid. If you took a whiff of that, you would smell alcohol, right? And the reason is because the medium of this is a hydroalcoholic base, which means it's less drying than most alcohols, and it uses non-allergen alcohols in them. And it has also glycerin and glycerol, so monolaurin, right? These things are quite waxy and moisturizing in this formula. The thing is, we associate all alcohols as being this drying, clear liquid, right? They are drying, and they can be irritants, which means if you use too much of them or use them every day like we have been in the pandemic, they can cause dryness, they can cause irritation. but they're not actually top contact allergens. Irritant and allergic reactions are different things. It is in a hydroalcoholic base, and it does also contain glycerin and monolaurin. So we have these three toners. They do very well even for sensitive skin. They do not contain top contact allergens, but yeah, when you take a whiff, it's going to smell exactly as it did coming fresh out of the laboratory, because we will not mask the smell of any of the ingredients in here, including the alcohol. Because the masking part, the masking fragrance, is actually a much bigger concern than the alcohol. In a nutshell, if you have patch tested positive for fragrances, really try to understand which fragrances and what their cross reactants are. And if you're struggling, drop us a DM and we can help customize recommendations for you from what we offer based on your allergens and possible cross reactants. The easy rule is if it smells good, it smells really lovely, for sure that has fragrance, right? Natural, organic or not, if it's got fragrance and you patch tested positive for fragrance, don't use it. If you smell a product and it doesn't smell good, but it smells neutral, not pleasant, but yeah, like nothing, chances are really pretty high actually that it contains masking fragrances. And if you pick up a product that smells like a lab, that's actually probably the safest bet among the three options. This is different from if a product becomes microbially contaminated. Skincare is not like food, it doesn't rot. Most skincare contains preservatives. We have a self-preserving system. We don't use traditional preservatives because they're top contact allergens. But if you leave skincare out there, it doesn't just sort of rot and go bad, right? Chances are, if you've noticed a really rancid smell, like something is rotting, something wrong is in there, or a major separation or growth, like a mold or something got in there. Something got in there and took root. A microbe got in there, took root, and so there's been microbial contamination. If you smell that, if you smell it's rancid, really rotten, something, and then you notice like a real change in color or growth or separation, then it has probably been microbially contaminated and you should not use it. So if you're choosing between something that smells really yummy versus something that doesn't smell yummy but doesn't smell like anything really, it's really neutral, and something that smells like a lab, the last one, the lab, is probably your safest bet, because then it is less likely to contain masking fragrances and other fragrances. I hope that was helpful. Let us know your comments, ask questions. We'll definitely get back to you. We'll see you next time. Thank you.